Hi, everyone. Carl Steinbeck here on a late Friday night here. Just wanted to jump on here and cover some of the trial from yesterday. Didn't cover it last night. Things got too late, and things got it late again today. So just want to cover some things for the weekends. Rolls into Saturday here. Actually, I guess it already is Saturday here in Central Time Zone. But let's go ahead and cover for day 9 yesterday. First, we had Marie Bramwell. She was a local attorney there in Hebert, Utah, from the Gordon Law Group. And Kouri met with her on May 3rd of 21, met once in person, exchanged some emails. She obtained a retainer. Her retainer is normally $5,000, but she refunded it to Kouri. And then we're going to jump ahead here. The state wants to admit a phone call. The defense objected, thinks it should come in said via a witness, applied some redactions. And then they debated where to start the call. And the call does get admitted, and it shows Kouri was getting annoyed. And let's go to that here.
By the male voice on this phone call for their truth. Instead, the only purpose you can consider the statements made by the male voice on this phone call is for the effect it had upon the listener, that is Kouri Richins. 5D.
I know. I'm just like so annoyed by that. Like, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Obviously, if one party's going to do it, the other party's probably going to do it to see what the fuck.
Right? And it's like
common sense.
Regarding your side of stuff, nothing came out of that. What came out of the other side?
Exactly.
Oh, illegal transfer everything.
Yes, exactly.
A lot came out of that.
Yes, I just went in for a consultation. That was it.
Yep.
So why is that so bad? Am I misunderstanding somebody?
So anyway, she's upset because Eric goes to an attorney and it's not a big deal, but she goes to see a divorce attorney, and then it is a big deal. So in any event, let me see here. I'm going to jump ahead to Becky Lloyd. This was important testimony here. This really helps you see the mindset. And this is somebody that got along with Kouri well before the murder happened. Kouri helped her get a job. She worked at CNE.
You're about to give in the matter before the court to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, subject to the pains and penalties of perjury.
And stone, we put stone on houses, and my job is to figure out how much we need on those houses.
What was your job back with CNE when you first started with them?
I got hired originally as an admin.
And when was that?
That was in February of 21.
Did you know Eric Richins?
I did.
How long did you know him for?
I met him sometime around 2017.
Okay. And what about Kouri Richins? Do you know her?
I do.
And did you meet her around the same time?
Yeah.
In 2021, what was the nature of your relationship with Kouri Richins?
I knew her as a neighbor. I knew her as the mother to my children's friends, and I knew her as my own friend.
I want to turn your attention to December of 2021. Was there a conversation that you had with Kouri Richins in December of 2021 that stood out to you?
Yes.
What was the date of that conversation?
December 17th of 2021.
That's a specific date. Why do you remember that date?
Because I keep a journal and I have photos from that date.
What were you doing that day?
We were doing a Secret Santa gift wrap for CNE Stone. We get presents for families in the neighborhood that don't get a good Christmas, and we were wrapping them to give away.
Now, when you say we, was that who's the we?
Me and Kouri.
Okay, just the two of you then?
Just the two of us while we were wrapping, yeah.
Was there a topic of conversation that came up related to Kouri Richins' marriage?
Yes.
How did that come up?
I had recently gotten divorced a couple months before, 3 months before, and she was asking me how that was going, and I was asking her about how her marriage was going, and her and Eric had had a fight that day, so it was definitely on the top of her mind.
What did Kouri say to you?
Kouri had an opportunity to go to a work event of some sort, like a Christmas gala, something like that. And it was going to be a really good opportunity for her career. She was excited about it. At the same time, Eric had booked a sleigh ride with the family for Christmas, a good family activity, and they had a scheduling conflict, and they did not agree about what they should do for that scheduling conflict.
What else did Kouri say during that conversation about her marriage with Eric?
She talked about how she was feeling trapped. She was feeling like there wasn't an easy way forward out of the marriage.
Again, just a cold stare, blank look. No reflection, no remorse, nothing like that at all. Just amazing.
She felt like she was worried about her kids. She was worried that she was going to lose them and that Eric was going to take the kids from her, and that
This is extremely damning testimony against Kouri, because it shows that the only out was if something happened to her husband. And where do we see that again? Where someone was trapped in Tallahassee unless a death happened to the husband, or in this case, it was a husband. In the Florida case, it was an ex-husband.
family was going to turn the community against her, and she said that in many ways it would be better if he were dead.
Better if he was dead. I mean, this is right before, a couple months before he's killed off by fentanyl.
What was the tone of Kouri's voice during that conversation?
It was
Now she's looking like she's mad, like she's doing a stare down. How dare you say that about me?
serious. She definitely had a very serious tone. We weren't really joking. It was a very honest conversation and a very heartfelt conversation. You could tell from her body language that, she was frustrated and she was struggling with where she was at. Serious tone.
What was your reaction to Kouri saying it would be better if Eric were dead?
To me, it really signified just how far their marriage was off track and how serious the situation was. And I felt bad for both of them. That's a heavy conversation.
I don't have any other questions for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Look at that snarly look she's given her. At least we got some emotion out of her now.
Good morning, Ms. Lloyd.
Good morning.
My name's Kathy Nestor. I'm one of the attorneys representing Kouri Richins. First of all, I want to talk to you about how you got the job with C&E.
Absolutely.
Isn't it fair to say that Kouri helped you get that job because you'd just gotten a divorce and she was doing something nice for you?
I would say Kouri helped me get that job. Yes, she let me know that it was available and definitely made sure that I knew that it was an option for me.
And she was the reference for you to her husband, Eric?
I would say so, yes.
Okay. And when you were working at C&E, during the time that Eric was alive, Kouri was actually on the payroll, right? She got like a paycheck every couple weeks.
That's true.
Right. And isn't it also true that right after Eric died, she called and said, "Don't send me anymore"?
I believe so, but I am a little fuzzy on that memory.
Okay. But at some point she came off the payroll.
Correct.
Really quick after Eric died.
I would say so.
All right. I want to talk to you about the conversation on December 17th. And this was, as I understand you, Kouri and Eric every year did a Secret Santa project where they gave less privileged people anonymous Christmas gifts, right?
Absolutely.
And so you were there wrapping those gifts?
Yes.
And you were having girl talk.
Yes.
And you're somebody that she trusted.
Yeah, I hope.
Because you had confided in her about your marriage.
Correct.
And the fact your husband had been unfaithful.
Correct.
And she felt safe and talking to you about similar things like that.
Yes.
Okay. And when you were at this,
Elmar, yes, I do speak to clients if I'm having a jury trial or bench trial about how they're supposed to act in the courtroom, how professional they're supposed to be, and to avoid facial expressions. So yeah, that's not a good thing. Your body language, your posture, all that is being carefully scrutinized by the jury. Think of the situation with one of the ones that comes to mind is Charlie Adelson. Look how bad he was in front of the jury. He was sitting there next to his lawyers, excuse me, between his lawyers. And he was all smug and laughing and carrying on. Acted way too comfortable, like he's got this in the bag. And you know what? Juries resent that. If you think you got it all made and you got it in the bag and they don't have any say in your future, they can resent you for that and say, guess what?
meeting about, let me look at the date, just 1 minute. A couple of weeks after Eric died, you gave an interview about this conversation you and Kouri had.
Yes.
And you gave it to a private investigator that worked for the family of Eric Richins, right?
I actually don't remember if it was at that time, but I do remember in a meeting with him, yes.
Yeah, so this is a guy that she was saying bad things about because the family got him to basically push the DA's office to do something to have Kouri arrested. So now she's wanting to use this guy as part of her cross-examination. So that's an interesting twist.
April 6th of 2022 at your house. Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
All right. And this gentleman who was not law enforcement, he's a private investigator, right?
Yes.
And he came to your house and you told him about this day that you spent with Kouri, didn't you?
I don't remember, but I assume so.
All right. And isn't it fair that in that first interview, you never mentioned anything about saying it would be better off if Eric was dead, did you?
I don't recall.
You don't recall?
I don't recall.
Okay. And then you had a second interview almost 2 years later in March of 2024 with the same investigator. Is that right?
Sounds right.
And then the investigator said, wait, I understand you've talked to Katie and there was something you forgot to tell me the first time we met about a statement Kouri made.
That's true.
And what you forgot to tell him was this part about it, he'd be better off dead, right?
Yes.
Okay. And isn't it fair that in this second interview in 2024, almost 2 years after, you even in that interview told him that you couldn't get on the stand for sure and say that she said that, didn't you?
I do not recall that.
Okay, Katie, can you please play the clip BL1? If we could cue that up and play it for her to hear.
Cue it up. And let's make sure we're all talking about the same thing. My apologies. Do we have a foundation issue here, Ms. Sherman?
Yes, I don't know what they're referring to, and if they're seeking to refresh her, then I believe that should be handled slightly differently.
Yeah.
No, I believe she said she didn't say it, so I don't think I need to refresh her. I think I can impeach her at this point.
If you would just approach for a second.
I think the defense is correct on this one. She doesn't remember.
No problem.
They have a tape of her saying that.
BL1.
Be confident enough to actually.
Here.
And this part, I swear she said it, but I also feel like if you put me on the stand, I would not be confident enough to actually truly know if she said it. But I swear she said, in many ways, it would be better if he just died.
Is that true?
Because, and I remember thinking, the reason I.
That's it. Is that your voice?
That is my voice.
All right. And you did say that you wouldn't be able to swear to it on the stand, didn't you?
I wouldn't be confident in that. Yes.
Okay. And then if we could play the second clip.
Yeah, well, like I said, that's the conversation we had, and I for sure know she said the trap stuff, and I am 90% sure she said the comment about it being better dead.
So there she's 90% sure.
Okay. So again, that is the second interview that you had with the investigator. And again, you're saying you can't say for certain that she made that statement, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You also never told that statement to the police when you were interviewed by the police, did you? Until later, much later, like 2024.
I don't know if I got interviewed by the police in 2024.
Okay. All right. While you were in,
I noticed a lot of these attorneys always use dates and stuff like that. Like, isn't it true in November of 2022? And the defense has a habit of actually including the day of the month. And so I think a lot of these witnesses are not tracking. I can't remember what I was doing that date. And so that's sort of like a way they can get out of having to admit something or even just recall something if they're not trying to be evasive. So
employed at CNE, which you've testified to, after Eric died, were you instructed to go to the house and pick up some of his private items?
Yes.
And who asked you to go pick up his things?
Your Honor. Scope.
Help me understand. If you would approach this.
okay, this is one of the things I think if defense wants to ask something that's outside the scope of the direct questions of the prosecutor, don't make them have to recall this person. This person wants to get on with their life usually, and they don't want to have to be waiting around the courthouse or being subject to recall. And so I just think who cares if it's inside or outside the scope? Just if it's relevant to cross-examination, then just go ahead and let it happen. Because there is a Sixth Amendment right to present a defense. It's constitutional right. So I just wish that prosecutors would not have such strict confines like this. It just winds up wasting more time. See, they're wasting this time having to argue it, haggle over it in front of the judge. The witness sitting there, the jury sitting there wondering what's going on.
Ms. Lloyd, we listened to part of your conversation during one of your previous interviews, and do you recall during the rest of that conversation explaining why you remembered Kouri making that statement?
I do.
What's that explanation for why you remembered that specific statement from Ms. Richins?
Well, as someone who's gone through divorce myself or marital troubles, I know that it is probably somewhat common to have thoughts that aren't necessarily the nicest about your spouse and to have really strong feelings that way. But I was struck because she said it out loud. And some of those thoughts are what you'd call an inside thought sometimes. And it was memorable for me enough that after I met with the private detective, I went and talked to my friends, and without prompting, I said, hey, remember that conversation I told you about? What did I tell you about it? And they were able to confirm exactly what I said in my statement here, because it is a very big deal, and I respect the justice system very much, that I am never going to get on the stand and say something that I don't know as truth.
Yeah, I think she's just watercolor mama saying, this is the only prosecution witness I did not necessarily believe her. Blinking, changing testimony, etc. What are your thoughts, Carl? I think it's just that she had such a high standard of, I have to be perfectly recalling this, otherwise I'm not going to feel comfortable doing this. And so I can see this happening. I've seen it happen before. And so you want to be absolutely sure, otherwise you will have some self-doubt. So I don't think her body language, which could be consistent with someone lying, like blinking a lot. I say that a lot on this channel. Look how somebody squeezes their eyes. So she's doing some eye squeeze, stuff like that. But I think she just realizes that she's having to get involved in this murder case, and this is a friend of hers, that she's not comfortable having to say this, but she thinks it's important enough to repeat it. And she's being subpoenaed, so she really doesn't have a say in it either way. But so, no, I find her credible, and the way she was able to have this rehabilitate her memory because of other folks she talked to about it at the time, this was fresh in her mind. It helps her feel confident enough to say it from the witness stand.
Are you confident in your testimony today?
I am.
Those are all my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So now it's your testimony that you were told about this statement by someone else?
No. My testimony it is very difficult to say such a thing when someone that you care deeply about has been leveled with such charges. It is very difficult. So that is why it didn't come up in the first interview. It is a very difficult position to be here on the stand saying things like this. I don't want to be here.
Yeah, hey, that's right along the lines of what I'm saying. And I think she's credible.
No one has supplied my testimony to me. No one has made me say anything about that. No one has supplied words to me. I know that that happened. And it is unfortunate that it happened because I don't want to be here saying it. But I know that that is what was said.
And in fact, the friend you're talking about is Kouri Richins, right?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Didn't you discuss this statement with?
So here, if she just sat down and asked questions, but here you got, again, the defense counsel bearing their own client. Now I think the jury totally believes this witness. She's really speaking from the heart here. So this is where I think she really seals the deal. And this was introduced by defense counsel. So they really help rehabilitating the government's witnesses, helping show that they have really high reliability and accuracy. Her memory's not the most accurate, but I think she's speaking truth as she knows it at the time.
Kouri Richins, and Katie's the one who sent you to the private investigator?
Katie is the one that made the private investigator aware of it, but that is not who I had the conversation with about it as far as the truth of the statement.
But you did have a conversation with Katie about it.
I did.
Okay. And then you also had a conversation with some other friends who helped refresh your memory about what you might have said?
They confirmed what I said. They did not supply a sentence to me. They did not do anything like that. They just helped me do a hard thing.
Defense counsel's like, oh gosh, why did I ask these follow-up details? I should have sat down, but they keep doing it over and over again. I don't get it.
Okay.
And who did you tell about this statement prior to reporting it, besides your friends and Katie and the private investigator?
What do you mean?
Did you tell anybody else?
I told my friends. I told my partner. I told the investigator, Katie. I don't recall who else.
Okay. And this was all in 2024 when you brought it up to the investigator?
My friend conversation would have been in 2021, right about the exact same, probably within a couple of days of that conversation initially with Kouri.
Sealed it. Thank you, defense counsel, for bringing that clarity to the jury's attention.
And you would agree.
And she just keeps going like she doesn't get it that she's digging a further hole for her client's case.
That if Kouri was planning to kill her husband 60 days later, it probably wouldn't be a really smart thing for her to say to you, hey, it'd be
okay, that's sort of argumentative. She's acting desperate now.
better off if he were dead, would it?
Now make your objection that the question is complete, Ms. Shervin.
It doesn't matter now.
Okay.
Go ahead, you can answer.
Say it again, please. I'm so sorry.
If Kouri Richins was planning to kill her husband in about 70 days after she made that statement to you, it wouldn't be a really smart thing to tell someone like you, hey, it'd be better off if he were dead, would it?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Do you have an opinion about that?
Same objection.
Doesn't call for speculate.
It's sustained.
Okay. Did you ever ask Kouri directly, what did you mean when you said that to me on December 17th?
No.
You never gave her the opportunity to explain whether she was just venting, whether she was joking, whether she was serious?
Well, now you're actually conceding that it was said. So she's got this evolving way of attacking the witness. Again, it's bolstering the credibility of this witness.
Unfortunately, no.
Right. And you had a long time to do that before you reported it to this investigator, didn't you? As a friend.
I suppose so.
Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay, Teal and Soul, you're a Canadian uninformed, I guess with American justice system. Can a jury convict based on all the circumstantial evidence, or does the prosecution actually have to prove that Kouri poisoned/killed Eric? No, circumstantial evidence is enough. Think about the cases where many people are tried and convicted and there's no body that they can find. So how can they prove somebody directly killed somebody if there's not even a body? It's through all this circumstantial evidence. And circumstantial evidence, I think is awesome because it's not malleable and it's not subject to as much as somebody's memory. It's all these little tidbits of information that collectively it's just overwhelmingly showing what really happened.
Miss Lloyd, when Kouri Richins told you it would be better if Eric was dead, was she joking?
No.
What was her
Speculation, Your Honor.
What was her tone?
Object to speculation.
Hold on, let's pause. Yeah, the question regarding what she was thinking, or was she joking, pardon me, is sustained. Can't consider the answer no, because this witness can't know what's in another person's head. You can ask about her demeanor.
Sure. What was
This judge, he's got such a great demeanor. He's got no ego. He's all about just being a judge, calling it like it is. He does a lot of like mentoring type coaching for both sides, but he's not favoring one side or the other. So he's super smart, super fair, and it's great to see that. Judges like that are awesome to practice in front of.
her tone of voice?
Serious?
Was she laughing?
No.
Was she smiling?
No.
Did you have any reason to believe that she was joking?
No.
One last question. Were y'all drinking?
We had one beverage. I had one beverage.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay. May we allow this witness to step down?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, and then next we have Gabe Morin at 140. He's a restaurant owner. You know, it's a restaurant where
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about
Kouri got an order to go, and this is the food that Eric got sick on.
to give in the matter before the court to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, subject to the pains and penalties of perjury? Thank you. Please have a seat.
Good morning, sir.
Hello,
What, sir, is your name?
Gabriel Morin, M-O-R-I-N.
And what do you do for a living?
I own a restaurant over in Camas.
And, sir, is that the Mirror Lake Diner?
Yes, sir.
How long have you owned it?
Almost 13 years.
Do you operate it as well?
Yeah.
Scott, can I get 8.6 or 8-6, please?
Can you see that on screen, sir?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's, you know, somebody says this witness is a waste of time, says Michelle Anna. But you know what? It's little details like this. You set the scene. If he got sick over some food from a restaurant, bring the restaurant owner in there. These kind of details are very important to help set the scene and help get a true sense of what was really going on in the lives of these two people. And so I think that you're humanizing your case. You're showing these kind of levels of details. And yes, like Tomas Jules just said, he doesn't look like a guy that's going to poison a sandwich, right? So trying to kill people with toxic, poisonous food.
Scott, if you can please scroll down. We'll go back to the top. Sir, do you recognize these records?
I do.
Are these records made at the time of the transaction?
Yes.
And is it your business's regular practice to make these records?
Yeah. I mean, there's some, you know, at the time of an order, the table is created, whether it's a to-go order or someone physically in the restaurant. And then when the card is actually swiped, then the table is closed.
Okay, so we're going to get into that. I just need to lay a little bit of foundation to admit them, and then we're going to publish them. But do you keep these records as
Your
a
Honor,
regular?
We don't object, but you can, it's fine to come in.
States 8-6 is admitted.
Thank you. Let's publish them, please, Scott, Your Honor. Scott, if you can, let me see here.
This is also good detective work, having receipts, where people went. You know, they're trying to charge this as attempted murder from the 14th of February. And so it's not so much the prosecutor. If I was the prosecutor in this case, I'd be not so much worried about, oh, am I going to get a conviction on attempted murder? Yes, it's not as strong as actual murder, but it's important to show the intent that she was doing stuff to mess with his stuff he was drinking and eating. Because look at this, it was stuff that he ingested that killed him. So if he got anything that he got from her that made him sick a couple weeks prior, that is highly relevant and highly probative to show that this is not a one-time fluke that he took something that killed him. There's something going on here. Somebody's slipping him stuff, and it's just painting a picture that somebody was out there trying to take him out.
Okay, so generally, what are we looking at?
Yeah, so if they hadn't charged this as attempted murder for the 14th of February of 22, then, you know, the defense could have objected, said, well, it's not relevant, it's uncharged misconduct. If he'd really done this, then why didn't they charge it? You just charge it. That's why I said, like, you know, if you're going to prosecute a Wendy Adelson, you add on perjury charges, and you're not worried where you can get them convicted or not, but you're bringing those kind of charges to help show what she was lying about, because nobody would lie that much and have nothing to hide, right? No one will lie so much on the witness stand. So anyway, I just applaud the prosecutor here going through every little fine detail like this.
So at 9:07, Megan is our employee. I believe this was a to-go order that was called in.
Okay.
And then, it was paid for in person at the time of pickup. $10 was written on gratuity, then $41.39 was a total charge.
So does this reflect a receipt from a called-in order at your diner on April the 14th, 2022?
Yeah.
And the card entry method there, is that for swipe?
Yeah.
And then the card was present, that's what that's telling us?
Yep.
Signature at the bottom, normal receipt that we've all seen all the time, always?
Yeah.
Scott, can you go to the next page, please? What is this portion of the document that we're looking at now?
Okay, so this is Megan's checkout. This would be at the end of her shift. And this is like a breakdown of credit cards, whether MasterCard, Discover, cash sales, and that kind of stuff. Okay, so this is an audit of that. The food was ready. 9:07 payment was applied.
So 8:55 is when the order came in. It shows that the Greek omelet was ordered along with some added quinoa, no bread, and then a bagel sandwich was ordered. Kouri, that's the name that was placed to ask for a phone order on
and then
on the takeouts. They asked for a name, and that's why they put Kouri there. It doesn't mean that Kouri had the bagel sandwich versus the Greek omelet.
At 10:50 adjusted payment. So the server wait till the end of the
I'm Kathy Nestor. I represent Kouri Richins.
Yep.
So I want to go back to what the Exhibit 8.6 that the state just went over with you, and if we could go to the last page. Can you go to the next page, the very last, that page, and then blow it up? And can we publish, Your Honor? It's in.
Yep.
Okay. So could we please highlight the bagel sandwich and the Greek omelet? Now, I've visited your diner.
That's not relevant.
you guys have had similar menu items for a long time. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
You're pretty familiar with your food?
Yeah, we haven't changed.
Yeah, people get sick a lot. Have to lay down for hours, feel like they're dying.
The Greek omelet since day one.
Okay, what's in the Greek omelet?
Feta.
Oops, darn it, I lost it. Would that be before or after it's handled by Kouri Richins?
Okay. So now it's
Sorry, the mouse jumped.
And I'm sorry, just to refresh my memory again, the ingredients on the bagel sandwich are
2 slices of bacon, 2 eggs over hard, 1 slice of pepper jack cheese, about a quarter of sliced avocado, and typically 2 slices of tomato.
okay.
And then the bagel itself,
All right.
toasted.
What? So there's no drugs on there?
Court's indulgence for just 1 minute. I think I'm almost done. Just 1 second, okay?
Okay.
And just to be clear, the time that was on the stamp says 8:55 a.m. Can we bring that up one more time?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I understand what that time means. Is that the time of the order or the time it was picked up?
When it was ordered. So it was called in at 8:55.
All right.
And then it was physically picked up and paid for at 9:07.
Perfect.
So
And 9:07 in the morning.
Yeah,
It's breakfast.
well, it says a.m., so that's
Okay,
I'm going with it.
Perfect. Thank you. That's all I have, so I appreciate it.
she had, you didn't see it here, but she had asked twice, what's now do you put in the sandwich and omelet? So I don't know why she asked that twice, like it was that relevant. But obviously he's not putting anything in there to make Eric sick. All right, next we have from yesterday, Josh Kays at 2:01.
If you would step.
Morning.
There's a friend
What,
here.
sir, is your name?
Joshua Kays.
Is your last name spelled Kaze?
Yes,
Sir, did you know Eric Richins?
I did.
How?
I met Eric probably in 2014 through some mutual friends in 16 for a builder, and Eric Richins was a subcontractor that I worked with.
So he goes on to say that they're good friends. They talked about every other week. He was a subcontractor for Josh for a few years in 2016. They became friends quickly because they both liked to camp and hunt. They hunted together and went to numerous states like Colorado, Idaho, some places that were really austere and rugged places to be. And he talked about an unusual and somber conversation he had with Eric, including, are you feeling okay now? Are you going to go to the hospital? What are you going to do about it?
Quite a bit from 2016 on.
So let me jump ahead here.
Sir, after that call with Eric Richins, did you speak to anybody else about that call?
Yes.
Who did you speak with?
I talked to my wife that night about it. And then
Let's go back to that.
Mr. Case, let me ask you 3 yes or no questions, okay? Based on that conversation, did you ask Eric Richins if he was okay now?
yes,
Did you ask Eric if he was going to go to the hospital?
yes,
Did you ask Eric, what are you going to do about it?
yes.
Yeah, like, what are you going to do about it? It sounds like you've been poisoned, dude.
Sir, after that call with Eric Richins, did you speak to anybody else about that call?
Yes. And then a day or two later told a mutual friend, actually two different mutual friends of mine and Eric's.
Did there come a time after Eric's death when you spoke about this call with Kouri Wright?
Yes.
Did Kouri Wright have a similar call with Eric Richins?
Object to hearsay.
Sustained.
When you spoke with Kouri Wright about this call, did Kouri Wright say anything inconsistent with your call with Eric Richins?
Object to hearsay.
Sustained.
You can't get that in.
So that's all I have. Thank you.
I have no questions, Your Honor.
May we release this witness, Ms. Nestor?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Kays, you are free to go. Please
Okay,
travel
then we
safely.
had next is Chelsea Barney. This is,
When did you first meet?
there's a lot of stuff that they had on this
9th.
case yesterday with her testifying, and they had a lot of text messages between her and Kouri, and it's it just goes on. It seems like forever, and she really got duped bad by her best friend Kouri. So we'll get to that.
Grade, junior high, high school.
And have you stayed friends that whole time?
Yes.
How often do you speak or did you speak with Kouri Richins?
All the time. Well, sometimes every day, sometimes every other. I mean, all the time.
How often would you see her?
Couple times a week. When we got busy with kids, sometimes once a month. It just kind of depends on schedule at that time.
Would you travel together?
Yeah, I traveled sometimes with her. Yeah.
Did you consider her your best friend?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the fact that the defendant obtained a $250,000 home equity line of credit on the home that she lived in?
Yes.
When did you learn of that?
We were on a vacation to Sun Valley, and she had told me about it.
Who were you on that vacation with?
Some of our other friends.
Was that vacation in October of 2020?
Yes.
Maybe the first weekend of October of 2020?
Yes.
What, if anything, did the defendant say about that?
She had said that Eric was mad at her and had turned off her credit cards because he found out she took a loan out on the house, and asked if we could pay for the trip, and she would reimburse us when she could.
Yeah, so she used a power of attorney to go behind his back, take out a home equity line of credit for $250,000. So at some point, Eric found out, and obviously must have flipped out about it, because that's pretty deceitful actions to your spouse.
Did Kouri Richins say what she did with that $250,000?
She used it to buy a house to flip and sell.
Scott, can we get 2-2D, please? Is Kouri Richins the blue bubbles and you the green bubbles?
Yes.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit and publish 2-2.
All right. So she's pretty ticked off at Eric here. So he's wanting to get paid back, apparently. I'm just worried he's going to keep digging and hire a PI or something and things get bad. A PI? Why are you doing that much stuff behind his back? It'll take a couple months till our investments pay out. Everything has gone through my mind with Anna's possibility. So she's freaking out. She's seeing that things could be imploding here with Eric being onto her MO. All right, so just a lot of foul language here. I don't want to get bogged down on that, but let's go ahead and look to you know what she also says somewhere in here. She changed her story on how she found Eric, right? On one hand, she says she was laying in the bed there and she felt him and he's cold and not moving. But then another one, she says she found him on the floor. So I think it was this best friend of hers. She said she found him on the floor laying on his back. So which is it? Something that is that much a discrepancy is an obvious indicator. You can't believe a word she's saying about what happened in that house the night he died.
Kouri's mom called me.
And what did you do upon receiving that phone call?
I went up to her house.
Did you discuss what happened with Kouri Richins that morning?
To who? I don't know what you mean.
Did Kouri Richins explain to you anything about Eric Richins' death?
Oh, yeah.
What did she say?
Just that she went to bed with one of the boys and woke up, went back in the room and realized Eric was cold and realized he wasn't breathing.
Did she say anything to you regarding whether they had a drink that evening?
Yes.
What did she say?
That they were celebrating the closing of a job she had and they had a drink together.
Were you present in November of 2022 when Kouri Richins had a phone call with her attorneys about the night of Eric Richins' death?
I don't recall.
You say November, and right away the witness, like her, I think she's thinking, I don't remember what month it was.
Were you present for a phone call that Kouri had in November 22, where she said that Eric...
See, now there could be a defense objection for leading. So just ask it. Maybe what I recommend is just ask a generic question like, did you ever happen to hear a conversation with Kouri and her attorneys where she was on speakerphone? You heard what attorneys were telling her, and then follow up with, yeah. After she says, yeah, I say, well, do you remember when that was? That's the way I would recommend doing it.
Was on the phone with people in Mexico about hunting when she went into Ashton's bedroom?
Yes, I was.
Is that what she said?
Yes.
And is that about the right time period, November of 2022?
I honestly couldn't.
So that's another discrepancy. She says she left Eric in the bed and she went to go help their other son sleep that has monster nightmares. And so then the other hand, she says something like this, which is like he was on the phone talking to folks about hunting trips.
Can't remember the month, but I remember that being there in that conversation.
Thank you. Scott, can you bring up 2-45 Delta, please?
Wow. All right, so let's jump ahead here. They're on lunch recess. At 3:57, jumping way ahead. This has to do with buying a house from Kouri.
Ma'am, are you familiar with a house at 299 East, 100 South in Heber?
Yes,
How so?
I lived there. I bought it from Kouri.
Who lived there with you?
My family, my husband, and I had another one, so 4 kids.
Ma'am, when you say you bought it from Kouri, what do you mean?
We were in a situation of needing a place to live, and Kouri was buying this house to flip it and sell it, and she offered to sell it to me.
Did you accept that offer?
Yes.
What was the arrangement?
Just it went back and forth for a year on what would work out, and it came down to I would sign the deed of the house, and the house was mine, and I paid a down payment, and I could do what I wanted because I had the deed to the house, but the loan would be under her name, but I would pay the mortgage payments myself.
So let's start with the down payment. What was your understanding of the down payment?
Just she told me it was to pay the brokers back that she borrowed money from to get the house.
And how much money was the down payment?
$45,000.
What, ma'am, were you doing for a living at that time?
I was a manager up at Soldier Hollow Grill.
And did you work in part for tips?
Yes.
And did you have savings from your tip money to pay the $45,000 down?
Here's a question. Carl, do I think Kouri will testify? I do not think she'll testify, but I think that they're going to be able to close the loop on a lot of stuff, like her hiring someone to buy drugs to supply to her, to supply it to her husband. So I don't see any defense attorney encouraging her to testify.
Payment?
Yes.
Did that amount to essentially your life savings at that point?
Yes.
Her life.
Did you wire $45,000 to Kouri Richins in 2 separate wires?
Yes.
45,000.
And you understood that to be a down payment on the house that you were living in?
Yes.
Did you understand that Kouri was going to put that money towards a mortgage that was closing soon after you wired the money?
Yes.
As far as you know at the time, did she put the $45,000 towards the mortgage?
Yes.
Do you know how many hours this gal would have worked to get $45,000 in tip money? Can you imagine this? The lack of a conscience. It just, yeah. Oh my God.
What was then your arrangement with her on paying rent or paying the mortgage or money?
The loan was just in her name, and I paid the mortgage company directly myself.
Do you remember about what you paid them every month?
$2,900.
So she's making her payments, but but then she gives her a warranty deed saying the property's in her name.
Scott, can I get 6-14, please?
You don't have that.
For Ms. Barney and counsel. TD
14 is
says up at the top, 290 East.
So she gives a warranty deed to her best friend, Kouri Richins, here as a grantor in exchange for good and valuable consideration. So she gives a deed even though the house isn't fully paid off. But guess what? This warranty deed is completely a scam because you cannot do a warranty deed unless you have the house fully owned, 100% owned. There's no mortgage or loan on it because the lender has the security interest in it, so you can't sell it out from under the lender's security interest. So this was just something cooked up to make it look legal, and it's not legal at all. It's just an absolute fraud against her best friend, just as another way of floating money. Unbelievable.
100 South in Heber. Is that the address that you lived at with your family at the time?
Yes.
And that's you, Chelsea Barney, as the sole owner?
Yes.
Scott, if you could scroll down, please.
This is certainly never filed with the county government there. It's just so bogus and fraudulent that I think Kouri would have known you don't file this down at the courthouse.
Scott, if you could scroll down, please.
But for somebody, it's their first homeowner purchase, home they're purchasing, and she's got 4 kids and a husband, and she's working so hard to support all that. She's trusting her best friend. She's this super rich, successful realtor and house flipper.
Scott, if you could, I'm sorry, go up. If you could just enlarge kind of the middle to the bottom portion.
So this house for $370,000. Wow. Creditors United and Wholesale Mortgage, LLC.
Oh, I'm sorry, the bottom page.
It's Chelsea signing. Fully in her name. She thinks she's a homeowner now.
Your understanding.
That the house was mine?
Did you understand that document, upon signing it, that needed to be recorded with Wasatch County?
Yes.
Was that document ever recorded with Wasatch County?
No.
There you go.
That was signed, I think, on January the 6th, 2023.
They would have noticed it's a scam right down there at the courthouse. They probably would have called the lender right away and said, hey, did you know your security interest has somehow been superseded by this warranty deed?
From that point forward, did you continue to live in the home, pay the mortgage, and have the understanding that it was your home?
Yes.
Did there come a point when that understanding changed?
Yes.
When was that?
When she got arrested, I was informed that there was a loan taken out on my house that I didn't know about, or I didn't take it out.
Your Honor, hearsay.
So the question was, did there come a time when she became aware of a certain condition? She's explaining how she became aware of the condition. Doesn't matter if it's true, just matters that she heard it. So this explanation for what she heard can be considered only for an explanation of the effect it had upon her, not for the truth of the matter asserted.
She probably also saw the paperwork.
Go from there, Mr. Bloodworth.
So did there come a time when your understanding changed?
Yes, I emailed the lady I signed the papers with and asked for copies of the paper, and she told me it was never filed with the county.
Did you continue to live in the house?
I did.
Yeah, it just reminds me of some sort of like Ponzi scheme. She's like a little Bernie Madoff, isn't she? Just scamming people left and right and setting them up like bowling pins, just to have them crushed and knocked out of the way by a bowling ball come flying down the lane.
Did that change?
Yes.
When?
September 24, I believe.
Kouri had her own real estate firm. I think it was just herself. So she didn't have a broker she had to answer to. She could do all this without having any oversight.
I was evicted.
You were evicted in September 24?
Mm-hmm.
Why were you evicted?
The new owners kicked me out.
Were there new owners because the mortgage was foreclosed on?
No.
Why were there new owners?
I don't know how it all works, but she gave the deed over to someone else and they owned the house.
Was it a deed in lieu of foreclosure?
Yes.
Wow. I'm telling you, this is like, you can't get any nastier than this and have more of a money motive in a murder case than this. She's willing to sell this poor gal down the river with her family, 4 kids, just to try to float these homes that she's trying to flip. Unbelievable. I mean, oh my gosh, I just can't believe it that she could just do this to somebody that is her best friend. Unbelievable. I'm not laughing because it's just so cruel. It's just so mind-boggling. That's why I'm just sort of like, I mean, if the jury had any sense of like, well, she's not that bad. I mean, maybe she just had a bad husband and they just get along. It's just a toxic relationship. You know, she's trying hard to succeed. Her husband's not giving her the money to help her business. He's not invested in her. And you see this kind of stuff here. Wow. They got smoke coming out of their ears now. Guarantee it. Yeah.
Who's the she when you just said that?
Kouri.
So it's your understanding then that Kouri Richins gave the deed of the house over to new owners in lieu of foreclosure on the house?
Yes.
Look at her. Do you want to look at her?
2-55 Delta, please.
Yeah, I guarantee you, when this stuff is going on and they saw the warranty deed, the jury's looking and right at Kouri's. What's her reaction to this? No shame, nothing. No shame at all. Yeah. Yeah, it is she is diabolical with doing this. No, it was after the sandwich incident that she said she needed something stronger, remember? And then she got something stronger and that killed him. Okay. Yeah, this is as mean and nasty as a person you could get. So, yeah, I don't know the split of the jury, male to female. I have not heard that. Anybody else hear anything to that effect? Yeah. Well, at the 29, I guess you consider that maybe high rent, but the 45, stealing 45 grand, and how hard she would have worked, how many years she must have saved up for that. I think they would have more than 6 people on the jury. They'd have to have some alternates. So I don't trust that AI. They're required to have 12 jurors, but they'd have probably another 4 or 5 alternates. All right, let's jump ahead here. All right, let's see here. 8 jurors with 4 alternates? No. Do they have to have more than 8, I would think. I know Florida can be that way too, but on a murder case in the United States, I've never heard of less than 12. Walk the dog.
Ma'am,
I don't think that's been introduced.
is that an accurate depiction of January 17, 2022 text exchange between you and Kouri Richins
Yes.
on publishing?
There's Gene. Look at her busy writing. That's one of the things she's doing to not have to notice the jury staring at her. There she is. Look at her. She's writing her next novel. She wants to sell a book. She's working harder than her lawyers. Yeah, there's some video feed distortion here on Court TV when it was live. It's still doing it now, obviously.
Okay. Because of Cody Wright's likely testimony are as follows. This is details matter here, so if you can write those details down. The green message from Ms. Barney on June 17 at 10:36:04 includes the following sentence. Quote, "Fuck that, you wouldn't call Cody about anything personal," end quote. I understand your position to be that when considered in context of drawn inference regarding the content of the conversation.
It's too late to go over the legal arguments and ruling.
Yes.
Okay. And then, Scott, if we may go to page 9. That was my perspective.
I do.
All right, please have a seat. Mr. Blood.
Ms. Barney, do you recall that text
was searched?
In the blue bubbles, Ms. Barney, green of.
Eric was divorcing me. Yeah, there's just a lot of. She's just fuming mad. I'll just summarize what this is. She's fuming mad, and she's having conversation with Chelsea because she doesn't have ownership of the house that her and Eric lived in. They were having control of the house, and they were talking about selling the house and getting her out of the house. So she was like completely going livid on this thing and saying, I just want my house. I want my house. And how can they do this to me? And it was really, she's extremely angry at the rich
audio and 2 days.
Eric's trust. It's no surprise. Bryce,
This is a mutual friend of Kouri and Eric, and his name is Bryce Knudsen. And she's really trashing Eric on this. She's talking about how he never believed in her. He never gave her a chance. And how she took the $250,000 and she didn't really steal it from him. She's going to pay it back kind of thing. And she was able to make $11 million. She's got $11 million worth of property out of taking the $250,000. So it's really not a big deal. So it's just really cringy kind of stuff to listen to. And he's just trying to stay neutral in the whole thing. Anyway, it's getting too late to cover all this, but and then they have the last one they have is another friend of hers, this Allie Staking. She came from California.
AING. I'm sorry. There's only one of you.
Used to live in the local area there, but
Yes. I met her and talked to her pretty frequently.
Are you one of her best friends?
Yes. Yeah. I was, yeah.
You were?
I am, yes.
Either way?
Yes.
Okay.
okay, and then we go to 611. And she brings up, the topic comes up about the Valentine's Day issue of Eric getting sick.
Mistaking on that visit you mentioned, the weekend of February 20th, 2022. Did there come a time when you, Kouri Richins, Eric Richins, and maybe others were having a conversation about Eric Richins becoming ill on Valentine's Day?
Yes.
Who was present for that conversation?
Myself, Kouri, Eric, Selma, and Wade, our other friends.
How did that conversation arise?
What do you mean?
Who started?
I can't remember who started the conversation.
How did you come to learn about whatever happened on Valentine's Day?
Eric told us.
What did Eric Richins say?
He said that he thought that Kouri had tried to poison him, but it was more of a funny story. It was like an allergic reaction is what we had thought it was.
So
how would that be funny? You get sick, and this is some kind of joke, really?
Eric jokingly, is this? I want to accurately.
Yes,
accurately capture
we were laughing at the story.
So did Eric,
along with Eric?
Right. Did Eric jokingly say that Kouri Richins had tried to?
Yes, and we all teased Kouri for trying to kill him or poison him. Or whatever.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So is this cognitive dissonance? He didn't want to believe that she could really be doing that to him. That's how Eric was trying to justify it. Yeah, just laugh it off. But he's talking about it because he's want to let people know maybe that this is what I'm dealing with here with Kouri.
Whatever he thought it was.
Okay. How did Kouri Richins react to Eric Richins jokingly say that she tried to poison him on Valentine's?
She laughed about it. We were all laughing.
Did she say anything about what happened on
She
Valentine's?
said, no, that's not what happened, that he had, that it was an allergic reaction or something, or it wasn't that dramatic. It didn't happen like that. Something along those lines.
So that's funny. She gives him a sandwich from this restaurant takeout order, and he gets sick from it, and that's funny.
Did she say how it happened or what happened?
No, not that I can recall.
Just that it didn't happen as Eric jokingly said it happened.
No, but with Eric right there.
Sure, Eric's there the whole time.
Yes.
Understood. Your Honor, I hate to keep doing this. I just want to bring up one other thing at the bench.
No, it's better.
Okay.
Jumping ahead here.
I'm sorry. Briefly, we're going to go back to the Sedona Mago letter. Scott, can you publish? Can you bring up 2-4?
It's Exhibit 2.
Under Rule.
Two of you. Sit tight for a minute while we work through something. Thank you.
It's not like she's still her friend. Yes, I agree. That's the way I took it. Yeah, then she talked about trip to Hawaii, and there were some gummies that Eric had put in Kouri's bag, and yet it was not something Kouri knew about, and Kouri was not happy with it. So anyway, so let's see. And then there's this is cool.
Again, one more time. 2-4.
They're able to have this life story spoken in the third person. So Kouri and this alley went to some kind of retreat, and they had to tell their life story written in the third person.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It says Kouri was born in 1990 in Oklahoma. Her parents were married and worked for the same engineering company. They were both previously married with children. Her father had a daughter, Tanya, and her mother had a son and a daughter, Renee and DJ, together. Let's see. Let's see. Together, Kouri's parents had Kouri and her brother Ronnie. Ronnie and Kouri had to move out when they were kids from 1990 to 1996. They lived 17 different states due to his parents' work. Kouri's father was a successful engineer, but he was also an alcoholic and had been most of his life. In 1996, he was drinking and driving, fell asleep at the wheel, and hit and ran over a cop who had another car pulled over on the side of the road. He was put in prison for the next 6.5 years. Wow, what a tragedy. Kouri's mom, who's today her best friend, had her own addiction. She is a compulsive gambler. Once Kouri's father was put in prison, her mom then filed for divorce in 1998 and continued working full-time, rarely being home. Tanya, Kouri's dad's daughter, was raised by her mom. DJ, Kouri's half-brother, lived with his father. However, Kouri's older sister helped Kouri's mom raise Kouri and Ronnie while their mom worked. Once Renee turned 18, she left and never had a relationship again with Kouri or Ronnie because she blames them and having to help raise them for destroying her life as a kid. In 2000, Kouri and Ronnie and their mom moved to Utah to be closer to their mom's sister and finally settled down. Hold on a second. Got to back up here. Jumped ahead. Gambling addiction made life. Trying to see where I was at here now. It's their mother was a compulsive gambler and was a casino only a couple hours from our home every other weekend. Growing up, we would spend it in a hotel room. My mother gambled. Eventually, our home was foreclosed on. Multiple cars repoed and ends were barely being met. Terry's mother spent everything and more to fulfill our addiction needs, even if that meant losing our home multiple times. Kouri lost trust in her parents at a very young age. She graduated from high school in 2007 when she was 17, eager to be in college and have a stable life, make a stable life for herself. She began college and met her now husband. When Kouri met her husband, she instantly fell for the idea of marriage with kids and a happy family, a stable family, because that's what was her dream. She got pregnant her sophomore year of college, which was very unexpected at the time. Kouri's relationship was very rocky, but she thought, no, once the baby gets here, I'll be happy and everything will be okay. Kouri had her first son 2012, graduated college same year. Then she got married in 13. Told herself, when I get married, I'll be happy. In 14, she had her second son because she told herself another baby will make me happy. Kouri then started graduate school in 2016 because that will fill this hole and make me happy, but it didn't. In 2017, she had her third son and her life spiraled downhill. She graduated from grad school in 18. However, she also found out that her husband had been having an emotional affair. So I think that was sort of the discrepancy we were hearing about. Was it actual a true affair or an emotional affair? Kouri went to counseling on and off because of the anxiety, depression, this constant need to chase happiness. Her husband emotionally is exhausted. She's exhausted from years of hearing, you're selfish, you're not earning enough, you need me, from her husband. She's ready to open her heart and find the happiness that's already there. And okay, stop looking for it.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
So she's not happy with Eric. That's what this shows. Never has been.
Have been better.
I'm sure you have before, so nice.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. And did you do things with her?
It's 1:39, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off here, folks. Thanks for supporting justice for the Richins. Whoops. And so hope to be back Monday night. Otherwise, you guys have a good weekend. And don't think I'll have any more coverage on this case this weekend, but perhaps Sunday night or something may develop. Otherwise, have a good weekend. Be safe, and we'll go from there. Thanks. Take care.